At the beginning of the story, a city was destroyed by monsters from another world. There is a male character named Kante-san, who looks very strong. He walks in the hallway of the building, and there all the monsters see him. But he ignored the monster, and he continued to walk casually. After a few minutes of walking, he came to a stop. He saw a human lying and being eaten by a wolf monster, and it turned out that the person was his mission. He had to save him but had died first. From behind the monsters, he began to emit a huge energy aura, after which the three monsters felt the energy. They glanced at Kante-san. Still, he was too relaxed to respond to the monsters and mocked them a little. The wolf monsters got angry and screamed at the mockery. Then they jumped quickly towards Kante-san, casting magic and attacking with high-speed claws. He then immediately activated two skills to increase power and accuracy. Then Kante-san killed all the monsters. One by one the necks of the wolf monsters were cut. After a few hours of traveling while killing monsters, he made it to the front of the warrior's shelter gate. The gate opened, and he met his friend named Gem Young-gun, a hard mode player.
I'm tired of this. Can't you ask someone else to do this?
You know, there's no one else to do it except you, Young. But what about that guy who ran away?
He's dead. All his body parts were eaten by monsters.
But there were 3 class of monsters that ate him.
Yes, it's like that. What's wrong?
Then Gem Young-gun remembered something that didn't make sense. Class of monsters are very strong, and their strength is almost the same as hard mode players. Moreover, there were 3 of them. Then Young-gun asked where the monsters were. Tae-sen casually replied that he had killed them all. Hearing those words, Young-gun became even more curious. Because it's impossible for easy mode players to kill class of monsters. Hearing all of Young-gun's ramblings, Tae-sen ignored him. And if Young-gun wanted to know about the truth, Tae-sen told him to ask his other friends. Young-gun is still trying to dig up the truth about Tae-sen, talking about anything he finds strange. And he realized that even though Young-gun was a hard mode player, he was no match for Tae-sen. Again, Tae-sen just kept quiet and glanced at Young-gun. Then they both walked towards a place. They arrived at the cafeteria, which is a tent model.
What the hell? More potatoes? Can't they grow something else? You also have sweet potatoes or corn.
What can we do about potatoes being the most cost-efficient? Even with simple cultivation, there is a limit to how much we can distribute. Young, did you not learn the simple cultivation skill?
Would an easy mode player learn something like that? No matter where we went, there is 4 everywhere.
While they were eating, outside the cafeteria the people were arguing, which made Tae-sen annoyed and not enjoy his lunch. Plus there was an explosion right next to Tae-sen, making him even angrier and more emotional. Near the cafeteria tent the boy was still angry and unclear about what was happening on Earth. On the other hand, Tae-sen was called by his friend to solve the troublemaking child. Many people there have explained what happened, but still the boy did not listen, instead hitting the parents who told him. From behind, Tae-sen and Young-gun have been watching the boy. Tae-sen wants to solve the boy's problem quickly. Tae-sen also explained what had been explained by the parents who were hit by the child. Most players who have not returned from the labyrinth for a long time will be like that, unable to accept the reality that is happening on Earth now. Then Tae-sen knew that only by dueling would the boy understand the current situation. The boy's name was Lee Chong-kun, and he accepted the invitation to duel. He arrogantly displayed Tae-sen's stats as an easy mode player and continued to taunt Tae-sen.
How laughable. An easy mode player dares to face a hard mode player. Don't you know that the difference in strength between players of different difficulties is like heaven and hell?
Shut up and fight. If you win, I will show you the real world that you want to see so badly.
Do not regret this. I won't care if you die after getting hit.
Then he opened the sword and started activating some skills, starting from focus skills and strong attack skills. After activating the sword, it is enveloped in a flame effect that burns around the sword. He quickly attacked Tae-sen, without him realizing Tae-sen had activated the cancellation skill. Then Chong-kun was silent for a moment, feeling strange, which is where Tae-sen takes 0 damage from Chong-kun's attack. Then he just saw something like this. The first attack can be cancelled easily. The sword was held by Tae-sen with one hand, and he prepared to counterattack with a punch. While punching, Tae-sen activated the skill of ignoring the opponent's defense and the opponent's skill. It reduced Changkun's defense, and he took 49 damage. After that, Changkun teased Tae-san with the difference in strength between easy players and hard players, because Tae-san only dealt 49 damage. Hearing the boys' ridicule, Tae-san got carried away and immediately activated two skills, the skill of doubling the attack power to X and the skill of ignoring the opponent's defense and skills. Then Tae-san hit the back of the head, and Changkun started to lose power. Boom! Just one punch. Easy mode players can knock down hard mode players easily. The ground around Changkun cracked and shattered due to the effects of Tae-san's power. He screamed in pain and took 4,600 for total damage. After that, Tae-san told him that what you stepped on was the earth now, not the earth like before. Hearing all that, Changkun cried and couldn't believe that the earth had been destroyed since he went into the maze. The beginning of a world that was still safe and peaceful. One day, the sky suddenly split open like a portal and many monsters came out. Many different forms of monsters attacked the earth, such as Godzilla monsters, dragons, squids, octopuses, etc. Then there was a choice presented to humans. The system provides for choices of player modes, namely easy mode, normal mode, hard mode, and alone mode. Players who enter the maze by choosing the difficulty level, and must conquer the maze if you want to return to Earth. To an Earth filled with monsters and bound for destruction.
What else can do? We have to try and save this current world. You came?
Of course I did. I had to see you fight. Seriously, though, you are incredible. Taking down a hard mode player with one blow like that.
What's so special about beating a weakling like that?
He is not weak. You are just as strong.
My potato's all cold now. This is why I did not want to step in.
But really, how did you get that multiplication skill? Ultimate judgment. Ignore defense. I cannot believe those kinds of skills exist. And what sort of cheat-like skill nullifies the first attack? And there are skills that only you have. Just how did you get them?
Through hard work.
There you go again with that. Did another player arrive? So many of them today?
Does not look like it.
On the other hand, all players shouted at the female player who had just come out of the maze with many items. The beautiful female player is named Lee Tae-yeon. Next, the screen changes, where Tae-san is in a room, and there are monster fossils that are still intact. And there are also some worthless vases, the most expensive paintings painted by famous people. The painting was very large, magnificent, and had a unique meaning. And to Tae-san's amazement, she is the strongest human today, known as Lee Tae-yeon.
Being fixated on something is vital in a situation like ours. Why don't you try getting a hobby like I did?
Tell me about that when we actually have time to talk about it. Why did you call me here?
I heard you taught a lesson to that hard mode brat. An easy mode player schooling a hard mode player. No matter how many times I hear it, it is weird.
Then Lee Tae-yeon showed her status. She was at level 258. With a sharp look, Tae-san knew that Tae-yeon was bragging about her status. Then Tae-yeon tells Tae-san to show her status as a form of checking. Showing Tae-san's status, he just reached level 57, making Tae-yeon mock Tae-san even more as a very weak person. Next, she told Tae-san that as an easy mode player it was enough to reach level 57. But Tae-yeon knows some secrets of Tae-san's strength, which makes Tae-san able to defeat hard mode players. As soon as player clears a labyrinth, all of their growth is halted, making it impossible to become stronger. However, none of their hard mode players can withstand a single attack from Tae-san. Furthermore, Tae-yeon was very curious about Tae-san's strength, and she tried to pull out a weapon to attack Tae-san. She activated augmentation. Half of base attack is added to current attack, and the active attack skill was doubled. Next, the third and fourth skills, sure attack is activated. The next attack will definitely hit the target is activated. The air around became claustrophobic. Tae-san prepared to withstand 4 skills at once in one attack. And her attack passes through Tae-san and delivers an explosion. Then Tae-san responded to the attack casually, because he had already activated the first attack's absolute cancellation skill, and Tae-san took 0 damage. By looking at the skills Tae-san used, Tae-yeon was very interested in it.
Complete attack nullification, absolute judgment, exponential attack, simple time stop. What ludicrous skills, you have to 100 skills, right?
Around 230, yeah.
You said they were skills you obtained while playing strategically through the tower, right? We should have explored it properly like you did, not only focusing on conquering the labyrinth.
Who knows? All that's in the past now, anyways.
That is not necessarily the case. Anyways, you are incredible. We might have been able to win if you pallied solo mode.
Then Taeyeon told a little story about Tae-sen, who was actually very strong, but he chose a mode that shouldn't be. Cutting off the conversation, he asks about Taeyeon's purpose for coming to this area, and she explains that a wave of monsters is coming. Tae-sen heard that immediately surprised, because the monsters that came had a very high level, and had troublesome skills. In the first wave, humanity lost the city of Seoul. In the second wave, half of the strong players lost their lives. In the third wave, we could only defend a small city. And later in the fourth wave, the world will definitely be destroyed. Because the monsters that will come are 2S classes, dozens of A classes, and hundreds of B classes and apostles.
But we must at least try. Tae-san, fight the 2S ranks.
You are telling me to die?
I need to fight the apostle. And you are the only one here who can challenge the S ranks, you know this.
You are such a pain.
Going off to tell the others?
They should at least be given the chance to prepare themselves emotionally. What? You did rather they die knowing nothing.
Smiling, Taeyeon says thank you, because Tae-san is helping her. After Tae-san left, Taeyeon was very confident that he would bring victory to all of us here. Taeyeon already knew that she wouldn't be able to win against the monster apostles, and she's carrying a rare magical stone to prepare in case anything goes wrong. The screen switches, where Yoongun is upset about something, and there are 3 people who are afraid of the coming 5th monster wave. Then Tae-sen approached Yoongun to ask about the situation. There Yoongun looks like he can only surrender, waiting for his death. On the other hand, the pretentious Bo looks confused, like he has no purpose in life and is afraid of death. Meanwhile, the 2 of them are still sitting on top of the gate waiting for the wave of monsters to come. A few minutes later, the wind blew hard, lightning struck everywhere. Tae-sen stared intently at the spot. The sky darkened, the portal light began to shine. The portal began to open. From inside could be seen the shadow of monsters. One by one the legs came out, and boom, various monsters came out of the portal. Seeing that many came out of the portal, the 2 promised each other to meet in the afterlife. Then Tae-sen prepares to go first to look for S-class monster targets. Then, Tae-sen prepared to go first to look for S-class monster targets. To save time, he activated the Great Leap skill, and immediately jumped at high speed. Arriving above the exit point of the monster, Tae-sen activated the full scouting skill. Tae-sen then looked at the screen to search for the presence of S-class monsters. The function of this skill is to search for high-level monsters, and the target will appear larger on the screen. After finding the target, Tae-sen immediately descends at high speed. When he reached the ground, he looked back and was greeted by 2 terrifying monsters. Tae-sen tries to calm down and starts summoning his sword from his palm. The sword was already in hand. Tae-sen began to activate skills one by one, valiantly preparing to fight 2 S-class monsters. Although he knew the percentage of victory was very small. With great concentration, Tae-sen tried to analyze the 2 monsters. Both monsters were octopus-shaped and mushroom-shaped. After getting information about the monster, Tae-sen activated the complete surveillance skill. The mushroom-shaped monster was a defensive-type monster with 148 million HP. Then the mushroom monster jumped up and descended directly down to the ground to create a shock wave. The ground around began to tremble and crumble due to that effect. On the other hand, Tae-sen managed to dodge by activating the body time acceleration skill. While dodging, behind him, the octopus monster prepared to attack him. The octopus monster was a ranged attacker type and had 1,200,000 HP. The octopus monster began to attack with several tentacles. Tae-sen immediately jumped to get close to it and immediately attacked several tentacles at high speed. Then the monster took 42 damage, 38 damage, and 32 damage to the tentacles that were hit by Tae-sen's sword slash. Continuing from there, Tae-sen jumped up to approach the monster and prepared to slash at it. But the monster is not stupid. The octopus monster gathers the energy from the tentacles to become 1 point and fires directly at Tae-sen. The shot hit Tae-sen, but she didn't take any damage as it activated the nullification of first attack. Tae-sen only retreated a few meters backwards due to the attack. After that, he detected the next attack. The octopus monster's attack turned into a laser, which could cut her body if hit. To avoid all, Taisen activated the acceleration skill to approach the octopus monster. With high speed, Taisen managed to reach the octopus monster and managed to stab it by dealing 48 damage. Then Taisen wanted to stab his sword even deeper in order to deal more damage. But the octopus monster issued a skill to keep Taisen away. The octopus monster looked angry because one of its bodies was injured and doesn't know where Taisen disappeared to. It turns out that Taisen jumps up and prepares to slash the octopus monster. Unexpectedly, the mushroom monster moved quickly to protect the octopus monster. Taisen was immediately shocked at the behavior of the monsters protecting each other, because usually the monsters compete with each other to be the strongest. Regardless, Taisen, with an evil smile, already knew it would happen. These two monsters would protect each other. Therefore, he lured the mushroom monster into the fight and destroyed its defenses. From behind, the octopus monster shot lasers towards the front, but the lasers were unable to penetrate the defense wall. Because inside there, Taisen activates the skill for 1 minute. Only the mushroom monster can hurt you. Taisen began to activate the skill. Additional attack doubled. The multiplication of this attack is squared active, and the opponent's absolute judgment defense skill was ignored active. He realized that if Taeyeon was here, this battle would be easier, but it was too late. Taisen started walking while activating a few more skills. He reactivated the designated skill. This skill cannot be activated again for 1 month. And activated the multiplication skill. The current attack was squared. All skills activated. He continued to speed towards the monster's mouth. Arriving inside the monster's mouth, Taisen realized that the amount of damage was not enough to kill the mushroom monster. Then he activated the copy skill. The next attack would hit twice, and the mushroom monster began to split into 2 parts. Taisen continued to stab the mushroom monster, and the mushroom monster took 90 to 100,000 total damage. And finally, the mushroom monster was defeated by Taisen. The other side of the back, the octopus monster looked for an opportunity and fired a laser. The laser directly hit Taisen, and he took 20,500 damage. At the same time, Taisen activated the endure skill. The fatal attack was cancelled. All damage for 5 seconds was reduced to 0. Continuing the fight, Taisen tries to attack and deals only 48 damage. On the other hand, Taisen is no longer able to cast skills because his MP is only 21 out of 820. And also he realized that he would die because the octopus monster still had 1,200,000 HP. Furthermore, all cities become battlefields between humans and monsters. From day to night, they continued to fight. Taisen did not stop attacking the octopus monster. With the remaining energy, he reduced the monster's HP little by little. Sometimes he stopped attacking to catch his breath first in order to save energy. After breathing was okay, he continued the fight until the end. All the land was destroyed and the buildings were destroyed, leaving Taisen alone in the area. There was only an octopus monster accompanying Taisen. Then he stabbed the octopus monster and dealt 48 damage. And finally, the mushroom monster and the octopus monster were defeated by Taisen. Then Taisen just realized that his battle against monsters had been more than 1 month. With his legs full of wounds and still trembling, he walked home with his remaining strength. Newly walking, he saw a very sad and desolate view of the city. Then a detection signal sounds, signaling that something has appeared. Taisen began to enter the city's passage area, and the buildings were all destroyed. There he saw 1 player who had lost. Then he walked past the corpse. Having just walked a few steps, he saw 3 players who had lost. Then Taisen remembered the player was his joking friend at the cafeteria. He continued to look to the side and saw Ji Myung-gyun's lifeless body. Seeing his close friend die like that, Taisen began to remember the times with him that were full of smiles. And he was always curious about Taisen's strength. Then Taisen looked to the right. There was Lee Taeyeon, who was already helpless. The woman who became his partner and competitor is gone. Lee Taeyeon's condition was very messy. All her body had wounds. Suddenly a moving slime appeared from nearby. In front of the 2 of them, a slime portal appeared that gave off a creepy aura. The slime began to come out of the portal and formed a body. After the body took shape, it turned out to be the apostle monster that killed Lee Taeyeon. Tae-san bravely challenged the monster apostle to a duel, even though he knew he would die if he fought the monster. Without further ado, Tae-san activated the I True skill, and the attack successfully hit the monster, but there was no damage. Tae-san can only surrender and try to provoke the apostle monster so that he quickly goes to the afterlife. The silence of the city began to envelope, the sky became dark. The apostle monster attacked and stabbed Tae-san's body. Tae-san endured the pain, and red liquid began to ooze out of the body. Next, the monster lifted Tae-san's body up. Tae-san couldn't escape and could only surrender. Then the monster pulled Tae-san's body and threw him to the ground. After being blown away, Tae-san's HP was only 0, and just waiting for death. He saw the monster leave and approached Lee Tae-yeon. It turned out that the monster did not kill Tae-san immediately, but let Tae-san die himself. A few minutes later, there was a cracking sound of the portal, and there were monster eyes peeking out, and the monster's hand appeared luminous, radiating power. He couldn't run or fight. He could only stay silent, angry and regretful until his death. The seconds of death began to appear. Almost a minute he endured the pain, and finally Tae-san collapsed, unable to hold her body, and he tried to smile to look happy. 60 seconds before his death, he saw the rare magical stone that Tae-yeon was holding glowing. Then Tae-san tried to move to pick it up, but near Tae-yeon monster apostle will attack. Tae-san, who saw that, tried to move quickly. When the monster was about to attack, Tae-san provoked the monster, and unexpectedly he activated the last chance skill. Continuing, he activated the simple time stop skill. Within a radius of 100 meters, time was stopped into minutes. Time has stopped. Then he tried to pick up the stone. A notification appeared. The stone was called Ouroboros. This stone functions to control the cycle of all life, can turn back the time of one person once. On the other hand, the ceiling began to glow. The portal began to open. The monster's hand tried to get out. Tae-san looked up at the sky, and the lizard monster came out and attacked Tae-san. Then he managed to activate the Bezoar stone before the monster touched him. The cycle of life begins with Tae-san's memories from childhood, the one where he was always abused by his parents. His parents always used Tae-san as an outlet to relieve stress. That's why she chose the easy mode, to find safety. In less than a minute, he was in a room in a sleeping position. The room was littered, and there were traces of food and drink that had not been disposed of. Then he woke up and took his cell phone, looking at the date and time of New Year's Eve. Consciously, he made it back in time. The story goes that the turn of the new year is the start of the monster's attack on Earth, and a portal will open above the sky of the city center. The screen changes, where Tae-san is enjoying pizza. He forgot the taste of pizza, because after the apocalypse the only food is potatoes and monster carcasses. Furthermore, he is still curious about Tae-yeon, why she didn't use the stone for herself. Next, Tae-san opens the door, stands on the balcony and looks at the view of the city before the monster attack. The clock shows 11:58 p.m. Everyone in the world is counting down the time and preparing for fireworks. Everyone was laughing, starting to see each other, and some celebrated with their families at home. At the same time, everyone was unaware that a portal was about to open. People gathered to celebrate the new year and watch the fireworks. At exactly 12 a.m., everyone was surprised to hear a strange sound from the city sky. From the sky, there was a creepy shadow that wanted to open the portal. Tae-san from a distance just watched the monster appear. After seeing its form, the monster was in Class B. Everyone was just silent and scared to see the monster. On the other hand, Tae-san got a notification that appeared. Not only Tae-san, everyone gets a notification containing the human world will be destroyed by invaders. The TV station helicopter tried to approach the portal, and they made news about the Earth being colonized by monsters. One monster dragon tries to get out of the portal. The dragon's mouth starts to emit hot smoke. Then the dragon shoots flames down, making people who are hit immediately burn. Everyone screamed and ran to save themselves. There was a little boy who was left behind by his parents, and there was a couple who was crushed by the ruins. All humans scattered like ants splashed with water, and there were also people who could only accept death. Then Tae-san casually walked towards the portal. In front of him, there was already a notification of the 4 modes offered by the monster system. Before choosing the mode he wanted, Tae-san would not choose easy mode again. But he wanted a mode that could increase strength. Solo mode. This mode promises to benefit from a plentiful supply of food and appropriate breaks scattered throughout the maze. Normal mode. Food will be scarce and resting spots in the maze are far fewer than in easy mode. Hard mode. This is the mode that will test your limits. Food is very scarce, and resting places are very few. And lastly, solo mode. This is the mode where you are on your own. You won't meet anyone from your world, except monsters, enemies, and NPCs. This is where solo mode tests everything: luck, talent, wisdom, and survival strategy. If you value your life, avoid choosing this difficulty. That's all the information of the monster system. With full confidence, Tae-sen had already made his choice. He chose solo mode and began to enter the portal. After a while, Tae-sen entered the world of solo mode, with a house building characterized by another world. He looked happy because he had chosen the solo mode that he had dreamed of. After that, a notification of the group of solo mode players appeared. This communication is very helpful for players to convey something if they have difficulty. And then Tae-sen replied to the message sent by another solo player. Next, Tae-sen began to continue the journey to find the entrance to the labyrinth. On the way, he remembered something Lee Tae-yeon said. Easy mode NPCs and solo mode are very different. Solo mode NPCs have true intelligence and move freely, almost like real people. Next, he met a sleeping gatekeeper NPC. As Tae-sen began to approach, the gatekeeper woke up. Tae-sen assumed the gatekeeper was an ordinary NPC and had no power. Tae-sen's estimation was wrong. The gate guard turned out to have a stronger power than Tae-yeon. Then he introduced himself to Brokenman, the guardian of this place. The gatekeeper tells a little about his experience as a failed challenger, and now downgrades to become a gatekeeper. Hearing all the NPC conversations in detail, Tae-sen confirmed Lee Tae-yeon's words, which were that NPCs in solo mode behaved almost like real humans. Then Brokenman explained all the parts of the maze in detail. The maze has a total of 100 floors with major changes every 10 floors. Naturally, it gets more difficult the deeper you go. Then, Brokenman did something that left Tae-sen stunned. It turned out that he opened a portal to retrieve a small sword and a spear that gave off an aura of power. Tae-sen was surprised that an NPC in solo mode could do such a thing. Then, Brokenman set up an attack stance. With half the power, he pointed the spear at Tae-sen. Tae-sen didn't respond to the attack. He just watched silently as the spear stopped beside his head. Brokenman then withdrew his spear, smiling as he was confident in Tae-sen's strength, and gave the item to him. Brokenman gave a rusty sword with stats: defense +1, attack +1. Later, Tae-sen tried to ask for a better item, but Brokenman had no sword items other than that. That item only adds +1 defense. It has lost its power due to long-term use. And Brokenman also gave information: various skills will be added. So in the maze you will get many skills, items, and can increase strength. On the other hand, Brokenman was still thinking about Tae-sen, because he was smiling and excited about entering the maze. Brokenman had met many genius adventurers, but when he saw Tae-sen, he knew that Tae-sen was different from other adventurers. And Tae-sen had something powerful, namely the power to survive. Brokenman hopes Tae-sen doesn't die, and manages to defeat his first monster. As the screen changed, Tae-sen began to walk through the hallway while looking at the information statistics. Then he gets additional information about the creation of the maze created by the witch. And there is a rumor that it grants one wish to whoever conquers it. There is a bright end of the hallway. Then Tae-sen finally reaches the end of the tunnel, and it turned out that in front of him was the entrance to the level 1 maze. With a smile and high spirits, Tae-sen will start the main mission.